What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. It's motherfucking story time, y'all. So let's get into it. Today, I'm going to tell you a crazy ass story from back in the day, back in my meth-induced, crazed, psychotic addiction times. This is probably from 2001, 2002. I had just started running the streets with my friend Nate. Now, Nate was a dope cook. How did Nate become a dope cook? Well, let me tell you. It was passed down from generations to generations to generations. A lot of the ways that people got into cooking methamphetamine, where I was from, was their parents did it. So it was like something that was in the family, unfortunately. And that was the situation with this guy. He lived with his dad in a trailer out. It was like a little far out past our school. And we would go out there and we would get high all the time. He was a great guy. He's not a bad person, but he was an addict just like I was. And he did this to fuel his addiction and fuel many other people's. So I wanted to talk about these crazy times because back then you could go and buy boxes of Sudafed like they were going out of style. So let's get into it. Me, Tammy, and Nate, we would jump in his big ass Dodge truck and we would drive to Walmart, Walgreens, wherever they had these boxes of Sudafed. And we would go in there and buy as many as we could. I remember us sitting in the truck, you guys, and having each other look at each other. Do I look hot? Do I look hot? Am I okay? Am I okay? And I know we looked, now when I think back about it, we were skeezed out, geeked out. We looked crazy. And we would go in there and we would buy as many boxes as they would allow us to buy. We would take those boxes back to the house and, Nate would extract the Sudafed or the ephedrine out of the pills. One time we went to Walmart because we had to get all the other supplies and we had gotten so many boxes of matches. We had friends that went to the states surrounding Arkansas and got matches galore. We were at the house and we stayed up probably 2 nights just shucking matches. I want you guys to close yourself and I want you to imagine a trailer with just so many people inside of it, Indian style, sitting on the ground, shucking matches all night long. People tweaking, people pilfering through stuff, people outside in the yard playing golf at 3 a.m. We got cameras pointing out of the trailer on every corner so we can see who pulls up, who leaves, who's walking around. I was staring at those cameras for so long that I was starting to see things that were not there. It was so bad, you guys. One of the jobs that I was assigned to do was to answer the door when anybody came knocking. People would come over every day, all times of the day. Most of the traffic was in the nighttime after 10 p.m. And we would have back-to-back cars pulling in, pulling out, pulling in, pulling out, pulling in, pulling out. People waited on him. People were like waiting for the batch to be done. It was crazy. When I think back to it, like, I'm so surprised that we didn't get busted while I was there. Now, we did end up getting busted, but I wasn't there. I had already gotten busted myself. And I remember I got pulled over for driving with this guy. He was driving my car and we got pulled over and I had meth on me and we went to jail. Then, like 2 weeks later, he got busted. And everybody was trying to say that it was me who snitched on him. Huh, honey, it wasn't me. I went to prison for my shit. I would never, ever, ever do that. My parents taught me that whenever you do something, you take responsibility for it. I wasn't going to put my family in jeopardy to cover my own ass. And that's what these other people would do. When I reflect back on that time, I think about how wild I was. I was driving my little Ford Focus around on a donut, you guys. And I did not sleep. I did not sleep at all. One time in particular, I had not slept for like 3 days. I was over at Nate's house and I was like, man, I feel like shit. I need to go to sleep. So he gave me a half of an Oxycontin 80. I took a half of this Oxycontin, you guys, and I tried to lay down, but it wasn't working. About 2 hours later, these guys came over and they had acid. acid that was on these little sweet tarts. So what did I do? I took some acid. We all dropped acid, and I started tripping. I want to tell you guys that this was the worst experience I've ever had in my whole damn life. Nate and Tammy had a bright idea. Let's go to Walmart. So we all got in her Jeep. I was shaking in my boots. When we stepped into that Walmart, the bright lights hit my eyes. It was like 3 a.m. and I was like scared for my life. I ran out of that Walmart. I ran out of the Walmart and I went into the truck and I laid down and waited for them to get in there. When they finally got out of Walmart after pilfering or doing whatever, they were in there for like hours, we went home. And that's when I really, really started to struggle. I got so scared. I was hallucinating so bad and I was tripping acid so bad. I said, man, I got to go. Fuck this. I'm out of here. And I got in my car and I went driving down the road. I was probably like 3 miles from my house and I started to hyperventilate. The road in front of me started to go black where I couldn't see anything. So there was this Valero I was coming up on the right-hand side. I pulled into that Valero station. I threw my car into park and I ran into the gas station. I said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And they called 911. They called 911 and the ambulance got there and I had calmed down and I was like, no, I'm fine. And I drove myself home. When I got home to my mother and father's house, because I wasn't living there, they had kicked me out. My mom watched me crawl on the ground on my hands and knees, looking for something. I don't know what. My mom finally talked me into going to the emergency room, and she took me to the emergency room, and they hydrated me, and they gave me a Valium, I think, some kind of benzo to calm me down. And I finally fell asleep hours later. They kept me in that hospital for like 4 hours and then they discharged me to go home with my mom. I remember laying in the bed and my mom just brushing my hair and praying over me, praying for God to deliver me from what I was going through. But I was so lost. I thought that getting high was the end all be all, that it was just amazing and I could not stop. I thought what I was doing was okay. I almost killed myself that day on acid, on meth, and on oxy. And that was just the beginning. That was 2008 when that happened. And I didn't get sober until 2015. I share these crazy, wild stories with you guys, not because I think it's cool or funny or I want any attention for it, but I want you guys to understand how bad it was. My addiction had a hold of me like nothing else. And I thought things that were totally unacceptable were okay. Of course, I went right back to using meth. I was working at a little hotel called the Days Inn. And I would give my dope cook a free room and give my cocaine dealer a free room. So I would get free drugs. One night, my cocaine dealer came over and I rented him a room for free. And he, of course, gave me a bunch of cocaine that night when I got off. I remember shooting that cocaine in that hotel room that night. And my God, I got so scared, I locked myself in the bathroom. And I sat in between the toilet and the wall because I thought the police were coming. That's how bad it was. Why would I continue to shoot that shit whenever it would torture me like that? I don't know why. But I did. So, I hope you enjoyed that story. I hope you guys know that drugs and alcohol will ruin your life, man. At least they did mine. And if you need help or you need support, you can always reach out to me. I hope these stories, I hope they make you laugh a little, but I also hope they make you think. Because I don't want any of you guys to go down the same route I did. Love y'all.